Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. How NBA should fix tanking with a path forward for Hornets thanks to Pat Riley. Pat Riley's end-of-season pressers usually operate on two planes. One is grounded in the Heat's culture and the other drifting into the high-concept ether of basketball philosophy. He'll reminisce about Adolph Rupp, invoke grit like it's scripture, and drop just enough mystery to leave you wondering if he's toying with the press or laying the groundwork for something bigger. This year, while reflecting on Miami's campaign and the broader state of the league, Riley was asked by reporter Chris Krause about the incentive structures shaping the end of NBA seasons. Krause floated a provocative theory of trying to win being an efficiency to exploit. Riley, never one to waste words, replied with a teaser. Andy has an idea to make it even more competitive at the end. Andy, of course, is Heat GM Andy Ellisberg. And that offhand comment might be more than just a throwaway quote. It could be a breadcrumb for the future. In the aftermath of another NBA draft lottery where flattened odds brought chaos and minimal satisfaction, the question reemerges. Has the league actually fixed its tanking problem? Or has it just spread the misery around more evenly? Zach Lowe summed it up bluntly: sometimes chalk is gonna win, and sometimes you get chaos. Tanking hasn't disappeared, it's just evolved. And while the process era specter still looms, maybe the NBA's next frontier isn't punishment for losing, but reward for effort. What if Riley and Ellisberg's idea was something deeper? A European-style point system designed to inject real stakes into the post-All-Star break slog? Imagine a system where every win after the All-Star break feels like a playoff push. Where tanking isn't a clever rebuild tactic, it's a liability. Where late-season apathy gets taxed, and hustle becomes currency. Here's the pitch: regulation win, plus 3 points overtime win, plus 2 points overtime loss, 0 points regulation loss, minus 1 point. Why 32 games? It's the last 40% of the season where fatigue sets in and tanking quietly takes over. But under this system, the bottom half of the league wouldn't coast into the lottery, they'd compete for it. Tiebreakers would favor actual effort, head-to-head record in the final 32-point differential during those games, total wins in that stretch. It's clean. It's competitive. And it might just save the NBA's dead zone. Heat can't afford to waste another season banking on Duncan Robinson. Going into the 2024-25 campaign, the Miami Heat's Duncan Robinson was expected to have an impactful role. He was coming off a solid bounce-back season the year prior and seemed to have made strides in his all-around game. Instead, he took a step backward. Robinson dealt with a lingering back injury during the end stretch of his strong 2023-24 season. Some progression in his development was first showcased in the Heat's 2023 playoff run, where the sharpshooter started to become an effective slasher and finisher at the rim. Additionally, his playmaking and handle made him look more versatile all of a sudden. But it didn't last. The seventh-year veteran saw a slight dip in scoring, shooting percentage and minutes per game. Granted, his role has constantly fluctuated from starter to bench player in recent years, which may have caused the slight pause in his overall impact. More importantly, though, back problems limited Robinson once again during the season's final stretch. Although it didn't sideline him entirely like in the 2024 playoffs, the resurfaced back injury seemed to affect Robinson's on-court production in Miami's brief postseason appearance this year. He averaged just 4.3 points on 14 field goal attempts for the entire four-game series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Clearly, he didn't step up as a valuable rotation piece when his team desperately needed a spark. It might be time to move off the Duncan Robinson contract. The 31-year-old undrafted sharpshooter is the Heat's franchise three-point leader. And he has been an efficient 40% shooter from beyond the arc for his career. Those marks still may not be enough to justify his price tag, as Robinson has been a one-dimensional player for most of his time with Miami. Robinson is going into the fifth and final year of a $90 million contract signed in 2021. Luckily, Robinson's contract offers Riley some flexibility. Of the $19.8 million Robinson is owed next season, only $9.8 million is guaranteed if it's waived before June 29. If the Heat, or another team, waives Robinson before then, they could save $10 million. That makes Robinson an interesting asset in a package to pursue a star on the trade market. His expiring contract gives other teams an opportunity to free up cap space, if that is something they would desire. If he stays on the Heat going into this last year of his contract, he could play out the entirety of the deal and return on a much more team-friendly price tag. Riley and the front office could also likely find more suitors for that expiring salary at next year's trade deadline. Heat trade proposal for Giannis Antetokounmpo in offseason after trade report. For the first time in his career, Giannis Antetokounmpo is open to a trade away from the Milwaukee Bucks. The two-time MVP has been loyal throughout his career, but fans could very well see him in a new uniform next season. If a trade does happen, the Bucks will likely try and do right by one of the best players in franchise history and send him to a team he'd be happy to play for. Reports suggest that Antetokounmpo wants to play in a state without a state income tax, and the Miami Heat fit the bill in that regard. Pat Riley seemingly pursues every star that hits the trade block, so he could try and swing a deal for the Greek Freak. So, what would an Antetokounmpo to Miami deal look like? Heat trade proposal for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Heat receive, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Bucks receive, Andrew Wiggins, Terry Rozier, 2025 first-round pick, via Warriors, 2029 first-round pick, 2031 first-round pick, 2026 first-round pick swap, 2028 first-round pick swap. The Heat traded Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors ahead of the trade deadline. The move was inevitable due to the drama that Butler brought to the franchise, but the trade left the Heat in need of another star. With only Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro leading the way, the Heat were destroyed in the postseason, losing in 4 games in the first round to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Antetokounmpo would be a perfect fit with the Heat. He provides the defensive intensity that is a necessity with Heat culture. The 9-time All-Star has a Defensive Player of the Year trophy to his name, and he shows up to play night in and night out. Antetokounmpo is a freak of nature who can score at will inside, too. The 7-footer has scored around 30 points per game in each of the last 7 seasons, and he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. If Antetokounmpo were to be paired with Adebayo, opposing teams would be severely physically outmatched when playing the Heat. The Heat have matching salary and enough draft capital to get a deal done for the biggest-name superstar on the trading block. The Eastern Conference is wide open after injuries to Jason Tatum and Damian Lillard, and if Antetokounmpo is moved to Miami, the Heat can make another NBA Finals run. Will the Bucks trade Antetokounmpo? Antetokounmpo is both arguably the greatest player in Bucks history and still one of the best players in the NBA, so Milwaukee will certainly want to hold on to him. While Antetokounmpo hasn't formally requested a trade, the writing does seem to be on the wall. The Bucks have lost in the first round in 3 straight seasons, and Lillard will likely miss all of next season with his torn Achilles. Antetokounmpo has always been loyal, so he won't drag the team through the mud on his way out like Butler did to the Heat, but his openness to be traded means there is also probably a desire to be traded. The asking price for Antetokounmpo won't be small, and the Heat might not be able to compete with offers that teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, Houston Rockets, and San Antonio Spurs can put on the table. Considering that Florida is a state income tax-free location, though, Miami may be a spot that Antetokounmpo desires, and the Bucks might give the big man what he wishes because of how much he has done for the organization. It is becoming seemingly harder and harder for the Bucks to surround the Greek Freak with a championship-caliber roster, and the 2013 draftee has made it known that he covets another title, so a trade this offseason wouldn't come as a surprise. And you, fan? What do you think about Giannis Antetokounmpo's situation? Write to us in the comments.